When I hear people talk about Tenet, I hear stuff like, it was cool, but made no sense at all. Or I hear the movie was cool, but the characters had no emotion and the story made no sense at all. And at the time, I didn't know crap about Tenet. I didn't watch any of the trailers, didn't watch any of the other work by Christopher Nolan, didn't know nothing about this. But I eventually saw the trailer and thought it looked really interesting, and so I decided to go see the movie, not only because it looked really good, but because I wanted to see why people were so disappointed in it. And I left the theater on how secretly fantastically crafted this film was. But at the same time, I also understood why people really didn't like the movie all that much. The movie is really complex. It doesn't really show or tell you what happens. It gives you clues for you to figure it out on your own. And it feels like it moves at a breakneck pace half of the time. And I heard people say the movie was emotionally cold. And I honestly understand that complaint. The story moves very quickly for you to barely notice the moments when the characters do develop. So am I calling it one of my favorite movies and the best movie of 2020? Because Tenet is secretly genius, and you need to see it a second time. Now you're probably like, okay, you say the characters are good, explain them for me. However, one guy's already done this, and he's called The Thought Theater. He made a video about this movie, and it's absolutely incredible. He explains the characters with a lot of detail. And so I'll go through a few examples of how the characters are actually pretty brilliant. Kat's a good example. Let's start on her. I've heard people say that the character is emotionless mainly because the actor doesn't do a good job. I could not disagree more with this statement. Kat is a person who suffers quietly because she's been suffering for so long. She freaking hates her life, but she always suffers quietly. But that wasn't a good enough example, man. Fine then, how about Neil as an example? Neil risks everything for the protagonist, even costing down to his own life. And it's probably weird the first time seeing this movie, seeing him act like they've been best friends for years. And well, they have been. Neil's been friends with the future protagonist for years now, and he was sent by the protagonist so that he could meet his past self, so that he could end up dying and saving the world. And when you see how sad the protagonist is, realizing that his best friend will die for the sake of humanity, imagine how sad it was to send him off knowing that he would die, man. And I think the reason why people say this movie is emotionless is mainly because of how this movie sort of explains its characters. Let's take Inception as an example. In Inception, it shows what happens to the characters. It shows their struggles, it shows what they've been through, and it shows how they are now and how that experience changed them. In Tenet, it gives you clues on why the characters are like that, and has each character's story be part of a mystery. And while Inception cleared it up by the end of the movie, Tenet leaves some questions unanswered. It doesn't tell you what happens to the characters because they know you'll figure it out yourself. Nolan describes this movie kinda like Inception. Inception was a heist movie, this is a spy movie. And part of a spy movie is mystery. In fact, that's what I would say Tenet is, a mystery. Our boy Nolan purposely made it that you don't know what happens to the characters first time around. He wanted you to watch it again. He didn't want to tell you what happens, he wanted to leave clues so that you, the audience, would figure it out on your own. For instance, the movie never directly tells you this, but the movie ends right when it begins. That's another thing I found interesting. The title appears at the beginning instead of the end like most Nolan movies. Probably because the movie technically ends that way. Nolan wanted the audience to watch this movie more than one time. He knew audiences wouldn't get it the first time around. And I think to correctly criticize this movie, you should watch it more than one. And then there's the argument to be made whether movies should be seen twice to fully understand them and criticize them well enough. I honestly think it's stupid that we're holding every film to the same rules. Films can do different things. They can use the budget they have, and they can be completely different movies. I can't understand, though, why people would get confused and rate the movie negatively, though. But in my opinion, are the action scenes well filmed and exciting? Absolutely. Is the cinematography amazing? There's no complaint about that. Is the score fantastic and nothing we've ever heard before? Yes. However, does the movie make absolutely no sense and its characters are emotionless and the movie is terrible? Absolutely not. Please, for the love of God, if there is one person who saw this movie only once, see it again. And if you've never seen the movie before, I'll say something that they say in the movie. Don't get on the chopper if you're still thinking in linear terms. I could gush about this movie for hours. It is so freaking incredible, but I really just wanted to touch on the subjects I did here. In my opinion, this is one of Christopher Nolan's best work ever. Also, to the people saying the movie has no message, it does. It's basically trying to say, your past, what's happened. You can still change your future. And for a film like this, I think the message is pretty brilliant. However, before you leave, I kind of tried out my own version of Tenet. I decided to try and put myself through the experience of what it was like filming this movie, except I have no budget. So this is my attempt of a 30-second version of Tenet. Please don't judge. I guess technically that was my first short film. Interesting. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Really appreciate it. I'll just put a bunch of links like here, maybe here too. Just click on one of those two, I'm not sure. But anyways, I don't have anything else to say. Go away now.